So, hey everyone, welcome to Jewish Wisdom for Coping with a Pandemic. It seems like there is always some turbulence in the world these days. And as I wrote about, one of the big, huge issue going on right now in Ukraine. So maybe as we move into our meditation, we can dedicate part of our mental energies and prayers towards the people and country of Ukraine. So please close your eyes and relax in your seat. And take in a deep breath through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. And inhale through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. If thoughts should come into your head, just observe them and let them pass. Like watching a car move past on the road. Now is not the time for solving problems. Right now, all you need to do is inhale through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. And on your next inhale, say to yourself, Shema. And the exhale, listen. Shema, listen. In Shema, we're listening deeply, without judgment, without offering advice. In Shema, we are listening with an open heart. Shema, listen. When you're ready, you may open your eyes. And I am joined by Finn, the spiritual kitty, our Moose, our companion, always likes a good meditation. So he's purring. I'm a little cat-distracted right now. Okay, we're going to get started in a mildly different way than we usually do. In that, I have too many. Let's see, I hope this is it. Yes. So for our initial conversation, we're going to start with a small teaching. And what you see at the top, this is the Shema as it's written in the Torah in the chapter of Deuteronomy. And what I want you to notice is in this first word, Shema, the third letter, the ayin is really big. And in the last word, echad, which means one, the third letter is also really big. And every Torah scroll, everywhere, the Shema is written in this way. And although this is a prayer we say in traditional observance multiple times every day, it is a direct quote from the book of Deuteronomy. So this is sort of a scribal teaching, an embedded teaching. And if you put the ayin and the dalet together, it spells ed, which means witness. And so the question is, so the questions are sort of twofold. I'm going to just copy these and put them in the chat. So what might it mean to bear witness to the events in Ukraine? And how might we honor someone if we are, serving in that role as a witness?
just had a quick question. Was that Deuteronomy you said?
Yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4.
Oh, I was in Bamidbar. Sorry, Devarim.
No problem. And Joanne, I saw your hand. So if you can remember to unmute, please.
Yes, I did. So I belong to a women's Tehillim group. So of course we're all reading the book of Tehillim for healing. And one of the women in the group is Ukrainian, she and her husband. And also someone posted, certain Psalms that you might read, to pray for the Ukrainian people in the country of Ukraine. And one of the Psalms I looked at was Psalm number 20, and I kind of did kind of edited it to be more apropos to that. But a lot of Psalms are, like in my distress and, please help me, God. And, and so I have to go and get it because now I think I put them in the other room, but I would, if people want to hear it, I'll read it and I can post it, I guess. But that's what I'm doing. And I think I'm going to give a donation to Highest, which works with refugees to help them.
Great, thank you, Joanne. Those are really, some really wonderful things, and Psalms are always good in times of distress. Does anyone have any thoughts about this idea of being a witness? I wrote in, and if not, that's okay. People can share on whatever they like. Yeah, so I see Paul and Carrie. I see two hands. Does that mean you both want to talk?
I'm bearing witness by posting. I copied the New York Times letter that you had in your email, and I copy and pasted that into Facebook. And people have been asking me where they can donate. We donated, and so I am sending information to people who are asking where they can donate. And I'm just not shutting up about it to anyone. So that's how I feel I can bear witness. And
yeah, thank you. I'm hearing sort of bearing witness and also speaking out, two things, and taking action by giving money. So yeah, thank you. Anyone else care to comment?
the second chat.
Okay, well that is fine. We can move on and go in a little bit deeper as we continue to explore the soul trade of honor. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Joanne. And we donated as well. Let's see. I'm just going to, I have about 3 PowerPoint videos that are open, or PowerPoint things, and it is going to cause me all kinds of trouble if I don't close the other ones. Sorry about that. I thought I'd already done that before we started. All right, so let's share once again.
Oh, we could put something in our car. There's something we can print out that I think move on is.
Okay, so may I have a volunteer to read this section from Shlomo Volbe's writing. He's one of the great Musar masters of the 20th century. Died around 1980, I think, in Israel.
I can read it.
Volunteer, Paul.
How to treat others. The ultimate value you can give a person is to treat a person seriously, to take notice of that person. Even just a hello, I've noticed you, shows that person that they are valued. Their presence has not gone unnoticed. When you treat a person lightly and you don't acknowledge them, you sit at a table and talk to all your friends, ignoring the one person who sits by themselves. You are stripping this person of their value, in effect, giving them a curse. And I won't try to, I'll massacre all the words about who actually did this. So I'll leave that to you, Greg.
So, okay, yeah, it's Rabbi Shlomo Wolbe from his book, Ali Shore. Okay, so what is, and I can't see everyone, so feel free, but what is the, let me just do what I often do, which is to copy this into the chat. So then we can see the text and see one another. So what is Rabbi Volbe teaching in this? What are some of the things that stand out to you? Yeah, Joanne.
Yeah, the importance of acknowledging the presence of another human being, you know, who's there with you or near you, or even if you pass on the street. It's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's a play on words. This was originally written in Hebrew, and the Hebrew word for honor is kavod, which you may have heard either from me or elsewhere. It's in many prayers. You know, it means honor. But the word for heavy in Hebrew is kaved. It's the same three Hebrew letters with different vowels. So there's something about treating someone seriously, someone with heaviness, as opposed to treating someone lightly when you don't give them sufficient honor and respect. So we'll go with Irene and then Paul or Carrie.
I think that theme comes up often in movies and often when you're dealing with, or maybe not when you're dealing, when people deal with others who are in, quote, less important jobs, like secretaries or children. And I think it also happens more and more with people with phones, where they'll be on their phones while they're supposed to be with you. And they're always looking at their phones. And I think that's very demeaning to the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, this phone's a big issue. When I write my modern Talmud, I want to have a whole chapter about how you treat a barista. And it feels like if you're just sitting there on your phone, or you're in the checkout line and you're sitting there on your phone, you're losing an opportunity to kind of connect with someone else and to give them sort of a basic amount of respect as a human being. So thank you, Irene. Those are great points.
Can we just respond to Irene before we go on to the next? I just wanted to say to her that I even agree with texting. If you got time to text somebody, why can't you call them? You know, if you're just saying I'm passing on an information like I would have written you a letter, that's one thing, you know, but I just think, you know, we've gotten so distancing ourselves from people.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to Paul and then Marianne or Carrie.
I was reminded of teaching when I was a teacher, and also since I'm going into the schools now to tutor, it's one of the jobs of a teacher is to make everyone feel important and valued and honored. And it's quite a challenge, but you don't want to leave kids out, and you want to have them interact and teach them the value of not sitting by themselves at the cafeteria. We all have memories of that, but
Yeah.
teaching is a good example of trying to include everybody, be inclusive.
God, who to sit with at lunch is such a stress-provoking thing, even for me and adults sometimes, you know. It's like,
Yes.
where am I going to go? And so it's, yes, doubly, triply important for kids. Okay, so we'll have Marianne and then Linda.
I agree with everything that's been said. And I used to work with, I used to be a job coach for people with disabilities. And I think that a lot of times people with disabilities are ignored. So that's, I think as a society, maybe we could work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my friends injured her knee and had to use a walker and had to use a crutch and, you know, a cane. And boys, once that walker came out, she became invisible, you know, to certain people. Just people avoided looking at her. And yeah, so another opportunity to look at ourselves and say, well, am I making eye contact with people with disabilities? Am I looking and noticing everyone who's around? Linda.
This is for Chaya in particular. Frank and I have had this conversation frequently about calling someone versus emailing them. And I just want to make a case for those of us who are reticent, that sometimes the best we can do is to say hello in there by technology. And I realize it might be second best, but sometimes it's the best we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with, we'll go Frank and then Irene.
There's an we belong to a chavurah, been going on for 30 plus years, and at some point Linda and I became kind of rebels, and it was kind of reverse, because what happened, we were noticing that often the people who were dominant talked and everybody else kind of either had to jump in or didn't. And so we had so the idea is, how do we make groups more accountable? And what we did was, and it's been accepted, we have a woman, Shelley, she's great. And she's the kind of, she decides who's next. She's sergeant at arms. And so this way, what we did was we allowed all of us who have something to say. So there's a way of also, it's not only one-on-one or a small group, but this is a larger group. How do you help the group to be respectful of each of its members?
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, because even if someone's there, maybe they're not there if they can't get a turn to speak. Irene.
I have found that there are many different kinds, excuse me, of communication, as others have mentioned. And some people like text, and some people like email, and some people like Zoom, and some people like talking on the phone. And I'm not sure that any one is more polite than another. I think it's very important to find out what the other person prefers or can deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's, I think, a really good general approach for honors. What does the other person, you know, what works for the other person? You know, why do they have to do it my way? You know, and yeah, I could do it their way. And, you know, we don't want to become a doormat, but for a lot of things, it doesn't matter to us particularly, but it could matter a lot to them. So yeah, these are all important contributions to that practice. Any other, Nancy, did you have your hand up? Couldn't tell. Nope. Oh, okay. Had an optical illusion there. Okay, so I think, wow, we may get to our breakout in record early time here. So for our partner discussion, and hey, Karen, you got here just in time. The Talmud says that we should always judge other people favorably. We must also judge ourselves favorably, from Reb Nachman of Breslov. So the question for discussion is, which is easier for you, to judge yourself favorably or to judge other people favorably? There are no right or wrong answers, of course. And we're there just to listen to one another, not to, give advice or anything. So let's see here. Let me just take a peek at these. All right. So I will open these rooms. We'll probably have about 10-ish minutes or so. So please click the accept button on your screen. Welcome back, everybody. So we were talking about, as I think about it, there's issues of honoring other people, like that. Da-da-da.
Sorry about that.
No worries. That was very well timed. And issues of honoring ourselves. And the flip side is, it's very easy to get judgmental of other people. It's very easy to get judgmental of ourselves. So would anybody kind of care to share any insights they had around this issue?
Well, I guess it clarified. Well, first of all, it was lovely meeting Harry from New Jersey, because we're both from New Jersey. And second, I have to say, I kind of clarified in my own mind that I can be judgmental of a behavior, but not of the value of a person. It kind of reminded me of that.
Right. Separate the behavior from the person. Yeah, beautiful. Our assumption for this soul trait, which I skipped over, was, which I think we may have talked about last week, but certainly in other weeks, is that we all have a divine spark, but it can be occluded by our baggage. And so a lot of honor is remembering that there is a divine spark in there, behind whatever behavior we're judging, that there's more to that person. There's there's more to that situation than what we're seeing on the surface. Any other thoughts? Okay, so we got Paul, and then Linda, then Irene.
Yeah, there was a great conversation we had, and I think that with we're talking about, it was difficult growing up to feel positive about ourselves. Certainly it was for me, and so for a long time, my first impulse is to feel more positive about somebody else than about myself. There is a certain amount of whipsaw back and forth that can happen sometimes when I feel like other people have done me wrong. Then I'll feel good about myself because clearly I'm not as bad as they are, but that's just his judgment. But I think, at my age, I'm 67 years old. I feel like I'm just beginning to find a sense of balance, where if I find that somebody else is doing something that I'm finding hard to honor them, and is remembering that I don't know everything about them. I don't understand. I don't know what their life is like, and to just treat them with honor, even if I need to put boundaries up and make sure that there's no harm that's coming my way from them.
Thank you, Paul. That's a beautiful combination of honoring, with boundaries, because it's not like we need to give everyone a blank check. We can set boundaries, but We can set boundaries with kindness. We can set them on honoring them and taking care of ourselves. So thank you. Linda.
I appreciate the arena that we are in here with each other and with you, Greg. And I'm aware that lately I've just been spending entirely too much time listening to the news, and it's putting me in a not very good place, which I'm sure you can all relate to. But coming from a psychology, social work background, I look at the personalities of the players, and I don't know how. I think I need to move away from the subject, but I'm just focused on things I shouldn't be focused on. Like who makes war and why do they do it?
These are painful times.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. Let's see. And Irene, were you next?
Yes, but I'm going to pass.
Oh, okay. Paul. Or Frank, sorry.
Unmute.
Our group, and that is how the Hebrew word, I think, Kavod and Hesed, how it has multiple meanings, and how language, is, I mean, the Hebrew language has, it is a gift to the world, like all languages are a gift to the world, because they teach us about different cultures and how they see the world and such. So we talked about that, and she had some good questions for us, I thought. So I appreciated the conversation.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else have any comments about this issue? Yes, Christo, and then Karen.
I was kind of very excited to see that we were in chapter 12 because someone that I knew for about 11 years was brutally murdered back in 2017. And I've got this very old Jewish Bible with his name and lifespan on it. But inside is like a 40-year-old, no, it's at least 40 years old. And it actually mentions honor. And it was written to a Vivian Chartoff. And it says, mark well the man or the woman who seeks and sees something good in everyone, because there goes a magnificent soul. And then it's signed, wife of Dr. Nathan G. Sachs, and I assume it's from she was a chairman of JPS. So I just found it I just stumbled across this morning, and I get your email about chapter 12 being about honor. I was like, how appropriate to two crucial books like this to kind of get an important message to somebody who might need to hear something about that. I just thought that was kind of like.
That was such a beautiful quote. It was the person who can see good in everyone, essentially. Yeah, that is goosebumps about how on point that is for an honor practice. And
I'm trying to follow that example too. I'm trying to be a bit more like Vivian Chartoff was learning about over 40 years ago. 40, gosh. Yeah.
And these sayings go back to the Talmud, they go back to the Torah. I mean, this is not something new within the Jewish people. These are this is really ancient wisdom. And it is so easy in a meeting like this to say, oh yeah, see the good in everybody. But boy, you're dealing with that schmuck at work. It gets really hard. And that's why, the people who can do that are like the super mensches, the real righteous. And I've done that practice from time to time, is just trying to find like something good about a person. And I try to do it with I think it's much harder when it's like somebody you're seeing on TV or national figure, but like someone who I'm in the room with or who I'm dealing with, even if it's like the, unhelpful rental car agent or whomever it is, to try to find something that, good or positive about them. So Karen, you are up next.
This isn't specific to honor, but over the time, as I study the Musar traits, I found that the Jewish word doesn't just translate to one English word, as in honor, to respect. It's really a dignity and respect and a trust, or chesed, to kindness, is really a kindness from somebody else's perspective. And so I have found my work with these traits, I found the traits to be nuanced, and the fact that I want to use them in my life to really be something I have to work at, not something that comes easily. It's not as if I can, say, hi, how are you? Or be polite to someone who I disagree with. There seem to be 2 or 3, at least, English words, related to the one Hebrew word that's a soul trait. And so it makes the work for each of these traits something that I have to be really thoughtful about. And so I just wanted to share that, and wonder if other people are finding that as they delve into each of these traits.
So if I'm hearing you, the question is finding like the right area to work in yourself, or where's your big challenge, given the full nuance of the trait. Am I understanding you correctly?
Sort of. I think it's that if we look at the Hebrew word, it actually takes more thought and more work to embody or put into practice the Hebrew word, because that word actually, if we translate it to English, requires us to work on several traits at once related to that word. That the Hebrew word is comprised, let's say, of 3 different English words that are related. And so to be kind does not take as much effort as to embody chesed, which really takes thought, premeditation, and work, at least for me.
Well, thank you, Karen. I think that's, my initial thought is that it's really good to study these and to just hear the word kindness, be like, okay, whatever, but if you really say, well, the word is chesed, okay, well, does that mean kindness? But to kind of study, and what are all the different meanings? What are all the different ramifications? And some people, would choose to kind of use Hebrew as that gateway. Other people might read English translations of a number of different teachings. But absolutely, I think thought and study are a really important piece of the practice, because we all have kind of our own biases, and human beings have a tendency to rationalize their own behavior. I know I do. I suspect 1 or 2 of you others have done that at some point in your life. And by reading, I find by reading these teachings and reading these examples, sort of oh, that's the way it's supposed to be. Maybe I wasn't being as helpful as I thought I was being in that circumstance. And maybe that's why the person reacted the way they did. So yeah, I'm totally on board. What do others have to say about their experience of the practice, or about this need for study or contemplation? How do you take it a little bit deeper? So, yeah, Joanne.
I think I unmuted, yeah.
Yeah.
I try to do some meditation actually on my own, and I just finished a book about walking meditation, and I guess from memory, because for years I meditated, like did transcendental meditation, like twice a day, and even on the subway. And when I did it on the subway, it's like everyone on the subway car was suddenly very beautiful. It just changes your perception of the world.
Mm.
And part of the walking meditation, this is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. I think his name is Thich Han, H-A-N-H. I'm not pronouncing it right. But, it's like with every step, it's like I'm on the earth, I'm in the world. It's like he wrote the thing that I had on my refrigerator for years, and then at my office, which was in, out, relax, calm. I forgot the rest of it, but it's like present moment, wonderful moment. It's like be in the moment, be in reality, be on the earth, because we're on the earth, and try not to have this whatever tape you have in your head going around and around about this and that. So
Thank you, Joanne. I love that story about the transcendental meditation on the New York subway as well. And everyone is beautiful. But yeah, meditation. It's another good piece of the practice to kind of take it a little bit deeper. To stay in the moment. Anyone else care to comment on this topic? Ways that you take it deeper. Yes, Paul.
Yes, so I have a weekly meeting with my sponsor in a 12-step program. And so, we have, a set of character traits that we focus on there that are similar to, but not the same as what we're talking about here. And I find that it's really fascinating to see that, when he and I meet, we don't have any particular agenda. It's kind of whatever has come up. And oftentimes I'll bring up what we talked about in Musar, as being a trait, because it's, I really love this group. I love that we are willing to be as vulnerable as we are with each other to really allow ourselves to deepen. And so I'm able to bring that to my other meeting, and it's we can take the same topic and it goes in a slightly different direction, but that really does help deepen it. And I think maybe that's what I experienced, what Karen is saying in terms of looking at the Hebrew word and seeing all of the dimensions, unpack that Hebrew word, and there's a lot there, more than maybe what we think of as being kindness. Maybe we're exposed to kindness as a word for so much that it becomes very flat. But needing to study another language, I would end up needing to unpack it to kind of figure out exactly what that means. So for me, being a 12-step program is like another language.
Yeah.
And so we unpack it and we can really explore it in a deeper way. So I really do appreciate that.
That sounds really cool, Paul. And it also reminds me of the Jewish practice of having a Havruta, which means a study partner. And some Musar groups that I've been a part of, you would get a study partner. And maybe if you met every 2 weeks, in the off week, you would get together with your Havruta, and you would either have a particular reading and you would again discuss it, go deeper, go back and forth. So it's, that's totally makes sense. And it has pieces within our tradition too. So we have Wendy and then Chaya.
Sorry about that. This has really been great today, including the breakout room. I heard what Paul was saying. I'm apt to judge myself a lot more harshly than I judge others. But how it all plays out in this particular thing that we're talking about, how we how we live this Musar practice
Mhm.
is I take account. It's just kind of what I do. I take accounting of myself at night. I close my eyes and there's my sheet ready for me to go and tell myself how a particular trait that I've been working on has informed my life that day. And then what happens is exactly what Karen was saying. All the other traits become interwoven into that. It's really beautiful when sometimes it's a fail, you know, like, well, you're really, but most of the time I do, it's pretty wonderful. But the other thing is I get excited when I see Musar traits in other people. And it's like, I just get so excited. I just go, oh, that's Musar. Oh, that's gratitude, or whatever happens in life. And I see it. I think just observing and noticing it helps me, to continue on with the practice. Be less judgmental myself, I guess.
Yeah, beautiful, Wendy. And one traditional Musar practice is journaling, and I sort of hear some of that. You're doing sort of a mental accounting, Heshbon HaNefesh, accounting of the soul. And yeah, once you start digging in, you and Karen both brought up, it's not like it's just one trait all the time. The reality is that there's, because we have one soul, and the soul trait is just I think of it as an artificial construction to kind of make it easy to study, but it doesn't mean that they're actually separate things. Chaya.
I just first want to thank everybody, but what I'm realizing as I listen, and I think I said it maybe even the first time, but every time I listen to what we're saying, there's so many languages for it. And Paul, I appreciated what you just said, because I think I might have said to you guys the first time I heard a Musar and I listened to it, and I'm listening to these traits, I came up with, ooh, what rabbi was that was talking to the Buddha? Since my initial way in was through the noble truths and the loving kindness, gratitude, empathetic joy, etc. And I just want to say, however we can get there, getting there is more important than how the words that we use to say it. So I really appreciate hearing each person's different way of saying it. And, and whatever someone would say to me, that I usually, I'm responding to a note I got, but I'm saying I accept that, people come from different places. And so I can't respond necessarily to them and say, oh, what you're doing is wrong. I can only tell you, for me, this is uncomfortable, or this is whatever, but that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. So I'm really happy with just listening to it from many perspectives.
Yeah, thank you, Maya. And you bring up such an important, several really important points about, it's really about where we're getting to, and there are many, many paths to get there. And Buddhism is absolutely lovely and has an awful lot to offer. And it's also about like our own path. Like in my school, we were kind of working on a brit, which was, here are different midot that we can practice when we're in class. And we were saying, this isn't about a code of conduct. These are like gentle reminders for ourselves, to practice humility, to practice mindful speech. It's not like it's not to weaponize these things, it's like, hey, you didn't practice, honor today, that's not cool. That's not what this is all about. It's about our own journey, because really that's all we can control. And again, I go back to like that beautiful image from Joanne, but when we really do this work, we do this meditation, suddenly the world does become a different place. Everyone's beautiful in the New York subway. And I don't know if this was in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, whenever it was, but there was, New York subway wasn't always as pristine as it is today. So, okay, well, I think that that kind of brings us towards the end today. We will close, as we always do, with a short meditation. I want to thank Joanne for sharing the prayer for Ukraine. So afterwards, I'll hang out if anyone wants to look at that and copy it or read it. But we will do our normal meditation, leaving a little extra room in our hearts for the suffering and the struggle of the people of Ukraine. So once again, close your eyes and relax. Take in a deep breath through the nose and hold. Exhale through the mouth and hold. Now crack your eyes just a little so you can see the blurry outlines of the other people sharing the sacred space with you. See the details, but if you close your eyes enough, there's just a little bit of a blurry glow around it. Taking that extra effort to get our eyes just right, we're seeing straight through to the soul. Straight through to the beauty that resides in all of us. Let your eyes close fully. But keep that memory of seeing the beauty of each person. And hearing and feeling and experiencing the beauty of each of us as we share this hour together. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes.